Up next, this elementary school embraces all forms of STEM education.
And middle schoolers are balancing checks.
This and more coming up on this episode of Frisco ISD-TV.
Welcome to this episode of Frisco ISD-TV. I'm Morgan Rhodes.
And I'm Jake Steele.
Science, technology, engineering, art, and math has been a big focus in education.
In its elementary, my dear, Frisco ISD-TV's Julian Canlis sees what's happening with students at McSpadden Elementary.
For me, STEAM means that we get to work together as a group, as friends, almost as a family.
With a big push in schools for science, technology, engineering, art, and math, some may dedicate a night, week, or special event to focus on these areas. Students at McSpadden Elementary have STEAM throughout their daily learning. Students seem to enjoy the differences in their average school day.
There's a lot of interactive stuff. There's a lot of hands-on projects. I also get to work with a group with a lot of people. It's really fun.
I've noticed that a lot of times during lessons, especially in STEAM, we have lots of fun because we get to work as a group, whereas sometimes in other schools, we do a lot of individual projects. So I think it's fun that we get to work as a group during STEAM.
This might have been my favorite one. We did the pumpkin catapult. We got these little pumpkin candies, and we had to make a catapult with a spoon and yarn. Some other things. We kept testing ours and then we were really confident with it, but then when we actually did the real thing, it went backwards.
The brain break area and the new things that they added is really fun and interesting. They added some life-size board game, this 100 chart. They added a few things that we could jump on and painted stuff and chessboard.
Teachers collaborate to incorporate STEAM in lessons throughout the school.
We work together as a team to kind of include, what subjects can we integrate together, which is actually really interesting. They seem to like it, that we're doing more than one subject.
We try to pull in the science, the technology, the math, the engineering, all of the arts as well into what we're already going to be teaching, but try to incorporate the STEAM aspect of it.
So we have a lot of kids that really need to be pushed further. We give them the opportunity through these choice boards and through these modules that give kids exposure to real-world problems, and it's just a different type of thinking.
Their campus commitment to STEAM has a purpose they hope will have an impact that's long-term.
We started STEAM because we wanted the kids to experience real-world application. It really get them more future-ready and for the real world.
They can't wait to be innovative and start to accept the challenges. I see them building team collaboration, which is one of those soft skills that they're going to need when they're older.
They become more problem solvers rather than looking for a perfect solution, and they have to really critically think about how they're going to overcome the obstacles that they run into while working on the projects.
STEAM is really teaching these kids that really failure is okay, that we can go back to the beginning and we can recreate and redesign. This is how they're going to grow, and this is pretty much exactly what they're going to need.
3, 2, 1. To showcase their progress, teachers and students held a STEAM carnival, educating families about their new take on learning. Each grade put on a display to show the community how they innovate at different levels. As students soar ahead with McSpadden Elementary's new STEAM initiatives, hopefully they'll be well prepared for the future. I'm Jillian Kenlas for Frisco ISD-TV.
Thanks, Jillian. In the middle of it all, Bailey Coyle shows how Lawler Middle School students are preparing for the future.
Classroom lessons are changing to help students be more prepared for the future. These 6th graders are learning skills they can take to the bank.
Earlier in the school year, students in technology applications picked a career and were given a lifestyle. They then had a worksheet to plan.
Based on this lifestyle, how to budget what they, and decide what they wanted to have and how they want to live. They picked a house from Zillow.com. They picked a car from CarMax.com. And after that, which is where we are now, figuring out how to write checks and pay their bills.
Students learn how to manage what they earn,
How money works, how to organize their money, budgeting, and then how to spend their money, either by way of cash, a cash system, or by way of writing checks. The biggest things in this lesson is them learning how to compare prices instead of just throwing their money at whatever rate on Amazon or on social media. They see an ad on the side or whatever. Instead of just throwing the money away, actually being thoughtful.
Going to help you expend your money wisely in the future so you don't end up bankrupt.
I've learned how difficult it is to keep going as beyond high school.
I've learned how to spend my money effectively and my needs and wants.
They use pretend items to give them life experience.
We get checks, even though they're not real checks, they're close to real.
Students see the skills as useful.
I think it's just going to make the landing a little bit smoother.
Budget based on preferences.
And not make it so oh, I'm done with everything else, what am I gonna do now?
Teaching us about real life situations that we're gonna have to live through. So once we have to encounter things like this, we will know how to save our money.
So I'm hoping that they start to apply it now with their allowances or whatever, and then that just kind of transitions into adulthood.
By learning about taxes, money, and bills at a young age, hopefully students will be more prepared to manage their finances in the future. I'm Bailey Coyle for Frisco ISD-TV.
Hey Jake, can you play an instrument?
No.
Okay. Kyle Bradford checks out a different kind of orchestra in higher learning.
When orchestra students at Liberty High School take the stage this spring, a group of familiar faces will be playing along as well. The parent orchestra gets in sync to produce a blended sound.
Parent Orchestra is a group of parents and teachers from Liberty. The parents are parents of orchestra students. They're learning how to play a string instrument.
Whether it's a viola, violin, or cello, this experience helps parents better understand their child.
I have been only asking him to do it. Now that I actually got into it, I start to realize how difficult and what all the different tunes are, which makes me realize that it's much more closer to him. And he can understand what I'm going through, and I can understand what he was going through.
She has been helping me on occasions when I'm practicing and I'm struggling, and she's laughing with me or at me. It's just been fun and a good experience for both of us.
Now that I'm trying to do this, I fully understand the complexity of it. It's not as easy as they made it look when they perform. So now I'm trying to do this. I understand it's very complicated. It requires a lot of commitment and a lot of practice and everything.
Great sound comes with great practice as parents work at both school and home.
Miss Lynn is excellent. She does videos and records the sessions for us, so we get to watch her doing it live here with us, and then when we go home, we get to practice, and that has been very important. Otherwise, I feel that I would be much more behind because music is not easy to learn, especially at my age.
Their many practices have created a bond beyond music.
I've also found many friends here in the community because of this, and it kind of helps us look towards a goal which we want to play in the Spring Festival.
You can see each instrument working together during their spring show on May 15th at 7 p.m. in the Liberty Auditorium. I'm Kyle Bradford for Frisco ISD-TV.
Thanks, Kyle. I'm so glad that there are different opportunities to grab a quick snack around here.
Me too. Mari Forbes checks out how the CTE Center class provides students in different kind of classrooms.
From snacks and school supplies to personal hygiene products, this training ground for marketing students is fully stocked. It's the spot at the Career and Technical Education Center.
The spot is like our learning lab where we apply what we learn in class in kind of like an environment that we can, test our abilities and then apply it to work later.
The spot is a work training program for anyone who does the practical marketing class, and then we basically work on learning how to run the store, stock the shelves, input merchandise in, new supplies onto the computer.
Their work doesn't end at the school store.
It's our learning lab for our practicum and marketing class. In that class, students are required to have after-school jobs. So they basically are getting practice in the skills that they need to work at their jobs in a more controlled environment versus just having them go to their jobs and learn those skills on the job with the public.
They prepare before the doors open with being able to meet the demand in mind.
Mostly it's making cookies for the morning, then we have to stock, supply, and make sure we have the amount of materials we need.
Like other places that provide goods and services, store hours and staffing can be challenging.
I would say the hardest thing is probably to be open as much as we can. We are limited here because my students are only here on A days during first period, so they do work in the store before school on A days, but the rest of the time when the store is open, I'm usually the one working the store. So I would say just staffing and having enough students to be able to be open as much as we can is probably the biggest challenge we have.
It was just me and Miss Anderson because there's not like a lot of kids in the class. And so then when there's only like one person really like running about the store, there's just a lot to do. You can't really do it all on your own really quickly.
They're also trying to find solutions in a world where it seems credit and debit card transactions dominate.
The school district doesn't allow any of our school stores on any of our campuses to collect payment through credit card or debit card. The only way we're able to do that is through cash.
Anderson says they're looking at ways to possibly link purchases to school lunch accounts. In the meantime, the opportunity for learning and snacking are still on the table.
Which is actually really cool about the spot. It's for students and it's student run.
I'm Mari Forbes for Frisco ISD-TV.
With school security, there can always be improvements. Frisco ISD-TV's Kate Fernie shares changes in the district.
In recent years, Frisco ISD has made many changes in security to keep students safe, and the most recent school year was no different. Head of Security, Kevin Haller, explains the new front door cameras leading into each elementary school.
We've transitioned from a pilot program to now we're installing it at all elementary schools. And to date, we've had it installed at 6 elementary campuses with another 4 scheduled for next month. And then we'll have all elementary schools done by August 1st. The biggest difference is visitors can no longer come through that single point of entry and just show up at our receptionist's desk. Now they have to ring the bell, wait till they're greeted by a staff member, and then they're asked, number one, do they have an appointment? And then secondly, do they have an ID? So at that point, that's when we're verifying who's at our front door. The cameras are of a really high quality, so we've asked the visitor to hold their driver's license or photo governmental ID up to the camera so we can verify it, and then they're allowed to enter the building.
Independence High School introduces a new policy regarding backpacks.
So we implemented a new rule this year. Students are not allowed to carry backpacks in the classroom. They can bring them to school, they have to put them in their lockers. They're just not allowed to carry them between classes and to class.
We'll say that it has made getting from class to class a little bit more stressful, especially being either late to lunch or late to class after lunch.
I think that the backpack rules are kind of just a little bit too much. Like not all students would be at risk of like bringing in dangerous things into the school, so I feel like it shouldn't be applied for everyone.
I do think that it's a good way to implement safety into the school. I do understand that it's better to be safe than sorry, you know.
Lebanon Trail High School instituted a policy requiring students to wear ID badges during school hours.
We recognize that we have over 1,400 kids entering the building between 8 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. And that's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of moving bodies. So we wanted our students to have something visible that set them apart, that said that they were our student. And so that way our faculty kind of had this level of recognition when the kids were walking in.
While many students felt the changes were an adjustment, they seemed grateful for the new measures to protect them.
I know some people do about it being uncomfortable and not going well with their outfits and things like that.
It's like one more safety measure, and honestly it's just putting on a lanyard at the beginning of the day and taking it off at the end. It's not that big of a deal.
With so many moving pieces, it just helps to give us a quick visual reminder of who's supposed to be on our campus so we can take the right steps to keep our kids safe.
I'm Kate Fernie for Frisco ISD-TV.
Well, that's all for this episode of Frisco ISD-TV.
Join us next time where Ashley Elementary spreads kindness with keychains.
And we look into a CTE Center teacher with a sweet side. I'm Jake Steele.
I'm Morgan Rhodes. Thanks for watching.